How to stay motivated when life feels meaningless. There are moments in life when everything feels heavy. You wake up, go through the motions, and ask yourself a question you never thought you would ask. So seriously, what's the point? You're not necessarily sad. You're not necessarily angry. You're just empty. The goals that once excited you feel distant. The routines that once grounded you feel hollow. And motivation, the thing everyone tells you to just have, feels completely unavailable. If this is where you are right now, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken, you are not weak, and you are not alone. This video is not about pretending everything is fine. It's not about toxic positivity, and it's not about forcing yourself to grind harder. This is about learning how to stay moving forward when life feels meaningless, without lying to yourself, without burning out, and without losing who you are. Let's begin. Understanding the feeling of meaninglessness. When life feels meaningless, it's rarely because nothing matters. It's usually because too much has stopped making sense. You may have worked hard for years, only to feel unfulfilled. You may have followed the rules, and still ended up disappointed. You may have lost someone, failed at something important, or realized that a dream no longer fits who you are. Meaninglessness often appears when an old version of your life collapses and a new one hasn't formed yet. This is an in-between. Space and in-between spaces are uncomfortable. Society teaches us that motivation comes from clarity. Clear goals, clear purpose, clear direction, but what no one tells you is this. Motivation often comes after movement, not before it when life feels meaningless. Waiting for inspiration is a trap. Waiting to feel ready is a trap. Waiting to understand everything is a trap. You don't need answers right now. You need traction. To stop trying to find meaning. Create stability first. One of the biggest mistakes people make in this phase is trying to answer the biggest questions too soon. What is my purpose? What should I be doing with my life? Why am I even here? These questions feel important. But when you're emotionally drained, they can become overwhelming. Instead of searching for meaning, start by building stability. Stability is not purpose. Stability is not passion. Stability is the ground you stand on, so you don't collapse while searching. Stability looks like waking up at roughly the same time, eating real food, moving your body, even gently getting sunlight, reducing chaos where you can. These things sound small, they are not. When your nervous system is overloaded, motivation doesn't disappear because you're lazy. It disappears because you're exhausted. Before asking what's the point of my life, ask, have I slept? Have I eaten? Have I rested my mind at all? You cannot think your way out of exhaustion. You must recover your energy. 3. Redefine motivation. Most people think motivation means feeling inspired. That's not what motivation actually is. Motivation is simply the willingness to take the next small step even when you don't feel like it. Not the next year, not the next 5 years, just the next step when life feels meaningless. Your job is not to feel passionate. Your job is to stay in motion without self-betrayal. That means doing things that don't drain you further. Avoiding extremes, letting progress be quiet. Motivation in this season is not loud. It does not feel exciting. It feels neutral, sometimes boring, sometimes uncomfortable, and that's okay. Neutral movement beats emotional paralysis anytime. for shrink your time horizon. When life feels meaningless, thinking long-term can feel unbearable. So don't stop asking yourself, where will I be in 5 years? Start asking, what can I do in the next 10 minutes? Motivation grows in short time frames. Long time frames overwhelm the mind. When meaning feels absent, your only responsibility right now is to win. The next moment, 10 minutes of effort, 10 minutes of rest, 10 minutes of order, then reassess. You don't climb out of emptiness by seeing the whole staircase, you climb it by taking the step directly in front of you. 5. Detach your worth from your feelings. One of the most damaging beliefs we hold is that our feelings determine our value. I feel empty, so I must be failing. I feel unmotivated, so I must be lazy. I feel lost, so I must be behind. None of this is true. Feelings are signals, not verdicts. Feeling meaningless does not mean your life is meaningless. It means your current framework no longer fits. Growth often feels like loss before it feels like expansion. You are allowed to keep going, even when you don't feel inspired. You are allowed to rest without giving up. You are allowed to exist without having everything figured out. Your worth does not disappear just because motivation does. 6. Replace purpose with responsibility. Purpose is a heavy word. It can feel unreachable when life feels hollow. Responsibility is lighter and often more powerful. Responsibility means showing up for what is directly in front of you, taking care of what depends on you, your body, your space, your commitments, doing the next right thing, even if it feels small. You don't need a grand purpose to keep going. You need something that anchors you to the present. Purpose is discovered through responsibility, not the other way around. You don't find meaning and then act. You act, and meaning slowly forms around your actions. 7. Let go of the pressure to be extraordinary. A lot of our emptiness comes from comparison. We look online and see people with clarity, success, confidence, direction, and we think, why don't I feel like that? But what you're seeing is a highlight reel, not a human nervous system. You do not need to be extraordinary right now. You need to be honest about your limits, honest about your energy, honest about what you can and cannot carry. Ordinary consistency will take you further than extraordinary bursts, fueled by self-pressure. A meaningful life is not built by intensity, it's built by continuity. 8. Understand that meaning is seasonal. Life does not feel meaningful all the time. There are seasons of building, seasons of waiting, seasons of loss, seasons of recovery. If you are in a season where meaning feels absent, it does not mean it's gone forever. It means you are in a transition. Transitions are uncomfortable because they strip away certainty before offering clarity. Your only job in a transition is not to quit. Stay, breathe, continue. Meaning often returns quietly through relationships, routines, competence, and contribution. Not all at once, not dramatically, but steadily. 9. Do one thing that helps someone else. When life feels meaningless, your mind turns inward, and the inward spiral can be suffocating. One of the fastest ways to reintroduce meaning without forcing optimism is contribution. Not saving the world, not fixing everything, just helping one person in one small way. Send a message, listen without interrupting. Do your work well, even if no one notices. Be reliable. Contribution reconnects you to something larger than your thoughts. Meaning doesn't always come from self-discovery. Sometimes it comes from service. 10. Accept that motivation will fluctuate. You will have days where nothing feels worth it, and days where things feel lighter. Neither day defines your future. Motivation is not a permanent state. It's a wave. Your job is not to control the wave. Your job is to learn how to surf it without panicking. When it dips, consistency does not mean intensity. It means returning again and again, even imperfectly. Closing, a message for when you feel empty. If life feels meaningless right now, I want you to remember this. You do not need to see the meaning to keep moving. You do not need to feel motivated to take action. And you do not need to have answers to be worthy of staying. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is continue. Not because you're hopeful, but because you're still here. Meaning is not something you find once and keep forever. It's something you build, lose and rebuild over and over again. Stay, move gently. Take the next step. That is enough for now. And one day, without realizing when it happened, you'll look back and see that meaning found you, because you didn't give up when it felt absent.